It is time for the newspapers, and we are having the Standard and the Daily Nation here. Keep your feedbacks coming in. I will read that. I see Sunny, anasema great show, locked in from Mwihoko. Stacy, anasema yes, we have gone through the finance bill, and we understand it, and we reject it. So let's see the mood of the nation here. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, KUTV Kenya. Ukienda pale, watch a comment. The Daily Nation says, Ruto's options, and then showing the picture of the president. Which way, Mr. President? 1, borrowing more. 2, increasing taxes. 3, slashing budget. 4, withdrawing the bill. Those are the 5 options, and they are spread out in page 4, 5, 6, and 7. His advisors have been caught off guard and trying to balance this delicate stalemate that we have found ourselves in with the countrywide protests. The Standard says, tax rebellion. Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has warned the youth that action will be taken beyond 6:30 p.m. and if they attempt to access protected areas, but they're not relenting. So this is also on page 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to go through the headlines and, of course, the state of the nation, the big news of the day, anti-finance bill protests, which you'll be seeing across the country. Some actually began midnight. I saw videos from Eldoret where young people already alisema hakuna kulala. Even if you're not ready for the day, it cannot always be night. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to see you, George.
Very well.
It's been a minute. Saizi anasema I am happy to see you are alive and not arrested and not injured.
True.
You know.
And I'm happy to see you.
A lot has happened in the past week. How do you feel about just general observation? Temperatures, unafeel aje?
Well, for the past 1 week, a lot has happened, ranging from the demos, from the voting in parliament, and so many dynamics that tend to surround the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, my feeling about the whole thing is that the government is a bit adamant with the it's out of touch with the feeling of the people.
Yeah.
And in that, I'll say, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God.
All right.
These people should adhere to the voice of the people because they are our representative. Mm-hmm. In a very short notice is that I'm very happy because of the ROA and the operationalization of the Constitution. That is chapter 1. Mm-hmm. The power belongs to the people. Article 10. That is the principles of good governance. Article 37 on the freedom of the demonstration, association, and everything. Mm-hmm. And chapter 12 about the public finance.
Yes.
All of them have roared in one voice.
Yes.
And in one pedestal. Let's just call it one single pedestal and one pendulum.
This is all happening at once.
At once, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Benard.
a big growth for the Constitution.
Right.
Yep.
Welcome back. You have disappeared from Biashara Tuesday for a while.
Yeah. I
Please.
know I've been away for a while now.
Yeah.
Because I handle so many things, doing business, work, and many things. It's nice, coming to this show again, especially when we are having a critical issue in the country to do with the Finance Bill 2024. And we see many things happening. We have lost young souls standing up for their rights. And we've continued to see the government of day, which is adamant, which is refusing to listen, even though we understand that no leader put himself or herself there. It is a delegated responsibility, and so it's important to listen to the people.
Okay.
And that's why we are also here to add our voice on the ongoing issues and to the Finance Bill 2024.
Okay, let's get right into it and welcome back.
Thank you so much.
So the Daily Nation says Ruto's options. President Ruto and his team of advisors are caught up in a delicate balancing act to find the best way out of this stalemate, which has triggered countrywide protests. The options which I see here are borrowing more, increasing taxes. So borrowing more, the amended bill is passed, but the state borrows more to fill that budget deficit. They're trying to close it from 5 point something to 3.3%. To increase taxes, President can reverse the pledge to do away with some taxes. 3, slashing the budget. Treasury can slash budget in line with amended finance bill. And 4, withdrawing the bill. Kenya Kwanza can withdraw the bill for a fresh start. The only one that the Kenyans, Dr. George here, the only one of these 4 options, zenye watu on the street, the young people, the citizens are saying, the only one they can pick is 4. withdraw the bill. Do not amend, do not reject, do not amend, do not edit, do not do something. Just throw away the whole thing, let a finance bill mpya. Which way do you think the president is likely to go, and which is the best way, so that now we are at least on a course towards progress?
Thank you. In that regard, I think I'll give the president exercising the third latitude, the latitude of slashing the budget and withdrawing the bill, both of them. Because I think the president has got the mandate, or the president can exercise goodwill just as he pronounces himself on living within our means. Cut the budget on per diems, cut the budget on foreign travel for the three arms of the government, cut the budget on the non-existent offices, like now the office of the first lady, the office of the deputy president's spouse. These are people who don't pay rent. We have given them accommodation at the taxpayers' cost. They have vehicles at our cost. They have meals at our cost. So he can slash the budget by slashing these non-warranted costs. Because if you do the arithmetic of the allocation of the first lady and the deputy president's spouse, they translate to $1 billion and something small.
Yes.
So those are the areas whereby we still say that we can slash the budget.
Okay.
Sitting allowances, we can work on that, but we cannot cut the expenses on critical affairs like education, critical affairs like health, like development expenditure on road.
Yeah.
Those are things that we should not touch on.
Yeah.
And still minimize corruption and wastages.
Okay.
Or also withdraw the bill, because that tenant, it's there and it's provided for in law. Yes.
Benard, looking at the options we have here on the table for Mr. President William Ruto, borrowing more, increasing taxes, slashing budget, withdrawing bill. Which way for the nation?
I want to begin by saying that, you see, I've gone through the budget policy statement, which was, I think it's the second one, which was released by the Treasury. It states that they seek to grow the economy. The government seeks to grow the economy by 5.6%. So you can imagine you want to grow the economy at 5.6% and expand the tax base to 12%. You say you are not being realistic in the first place, because a struggling economy and all these percentages are out of our GDP. So I think, just like I've said here before, Kenya is a very rich country. I do not believe that we still have to borrow to run our affairs. I've seen areas which have, I call them budgeted corruption, where you see 678 million have been allocated to the office of the deputy president. Richie, I believe the office of the deputy president was previously occupied by the current president. It is not leaking. It is just in good state. I do not understand why such allocation is there. I do not understand why Treasury has allocated itself 6 billion. There is some 26 billion for development. Which development is Treasury? Or they want to maybe have a new building for Treasury. So
Pesa house.
Yeah. So if we talk about, my colleague here has talked about living within our means. So it is important for, number one, the government to withdraw the Finance Bill 2024. Number two, the Treasury to be realistic and to slash budget on non-essential areas. Because as much as they talk about servicing debt, it is also important to know, and let me just, I think for purposes of record, this is the only government, I think in less than 2 years, that has borrowed, Uhuru Kenyatta, I think, borrowed about 6 trillion in 10 years. This government has borrowed a total of 5.6 trillion in less than 2 years.
In less than 2 years.
In less than 2 years. So if you talk, which debt are you paying? Which debt are you servicing when you are even borrowing more? So I think it is important for us to focus on those areas. And that is the only way I think we can be able to have a solution for the issue going on.
So you're saying slashing the budget. So option 3 even for you.
Yes.
Treasury can slash the budget in line with an amended finance bill. In page, what page is this? Page 4, 5? Yes, page 4. Ruto's tough options has 6 win-win outcome on tax bill. So, gentlemen, have a situation, or we have a situation here where the protesters say, the young people, Kenyans, say, the only win out of this current discussion we're having is rejecting in totality the finance bill. There's nothing like an amended bill. There's nothing like a slashed budget with an amended bill, or amended bill is passed by the state boroughs to fill budget deficit. They don't want anything to do with that. It's a win when it's rejected. But for President William Ruto, he also needs a win, not only to quell public anger, but also to get some money out of the finance bill, to raise money for his government, for smooth running of government. It seems we might not get that win-win. Someone is going to lose. Who is going to lose out of this situation? And what is a win-win what is a win-win situation? Is there a win-win situation where President William Ruto says thumbs up, pia Gen Z kwa street waseme thumbs up, let's go home?
I think let me just take a quick one. I want to respond by saying that, you see, let us not behave as if we do not know the character of our president. If we talk about a win-win situation for Gen Z, there will be no win-win situation. We have people who talk, they say this at night, tomorrow they say something else. So I think Finance Bill 2023 is already burdening Kenyans.
Correct. And
actually amending it to have more areas of, taxes, more areas to tax in the recent or the current Finance Bill 2024 was already too much. And that's why we are saying punda imechoka. So you can imagine, so you say, yes, on a political point of view, the president has realized that these young people might actually kick us out of State House. Because the MPs are behaving as if they are cows owned by certain people mighty up there. And the young people across the country has demonstrated that their vote counts. And actually, if the members of parliament can be able to look at the plight of the people whom they represent, and then this issue can be sorted. So it's good to having a win-win situation might look fairer, but the fact that you already have Finance Bill 2023, which has already burdened our economy, then it is like adding salt to an injury, and this should not be accepted.
There's no win there for Monite.
That is my take.
Okay. George, is there a win-win situation even? Is there a way we are thumbing up the president and then pia yaseme, right guys, thanks, kila mtu arudi nyumbani, let's patana Finance Bill 2025?
Well, that would be very challenging in my view, because number one, once we start from the borrowing more, none is accurate with the debt portfolio of this country. None is accurate. Each and everyone has got his own figure. We don't know how much we have been lent by the commercial banks, concession banks, and the Bretton institutions, and even how much the Kenyan citizens have invested through the various treasury bonds and everything. We don't know.
Yeah.
Then here comes to number 2, about a win-win case scenario. I don't think there will be a win-win case scenario in my view, because number one, the Gen Zs and the millennials have come to a tipping point whereby they are rejecting some aspects. And number one aspect that they are rejecting, it's reloading. You've seen the previous president and even the current president pontificating unto the nation what should be done. This is a time that the citizens have come to a point of dictating this is what should be done.
Yeah.
Because if you recall, it happened sometimes last year, and I'm sure you are here, when the previous former president came and did something with this institution out of reloading and pontificating upon the council and everything.
Administration, yes.
So this time, it has come to a tipping point whereby the citizens have, how do I put it? We are in a knowledge society. If you do a simple arithmetic, anyone born between 2000 to 2024, that the new millennium generation from anyone born from 2000, this is a person who has gone through the academic system of class 1 to form 4.
Yes.
Because this person got the experience of the free primary education.
Yeah.
This is someone who can interpret the bill. So these are people who are saying that they don't want anything into totality. Here comes to something else very fast, very quick by the president. The president has not shown any goodwill to quell the
Public outrage.
public outrage and outcry, because it could have given already a solution. This is how to do the cuts in myself, foreign travels, per diems, and everything and everything when it comes to wastage, so that we can come to this point. But he has not shown any goodwill. So the lack of goodwill will capitalize and build up onto what? Lack of a win-win scenario.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I see. And as Benard was saying there, we are behaving like we do not know the character of the person we are dealing with.
Tumetenga.
which brings me to the protest now,
Yes.
Benard. We know the character of the government we are dealing with. We know the character of the president we are dealing with. Are protesters prepared to deal with that kind of scenario on the streets? Arrests, firing back, abductions. Is this part of the liberation movement? Is this something we should be comfortable with? I was seeing videos from the 90s. I can't remember this. I think it was 1999
Yes,
when Joya, yes, that particular video. I was scared, and that's like 20 years ago. I felt that pain. Should we be comfortable with that and know that that is how we can get to a people win and an L on the president?
I want to begin by saying, I also listen to the ground. Just
You're always on the ground.
Yeah, just like some people here, they tell us they listen to the ground. I don't know why they didn't listen about this one. So you see the Gen Zs out there, with respect to maybe elections coming, future elections to come, they say the reason why, if you look at in terms of the IBC registered voters database, the youths are the majority. They are about 60% of the total registered voters. And the reason why we have bad leaders is because maybe the old guards have been electing people for reasons known to themselves. And we are having a more informed generation. And the government is forgetting that Gen Zs, number one, they are people who have gone to school, they are educated. Number two, they are idle, they don't have what to do. Number three, they have energy. They can demonstrate as much as they want.
And you have nothing to do.
And
bad combination.
Just because, so the government, so I think I am so happy that we've had abductions, people being whisked in a manner which is not constitutional. It is unlawful. And everyone has a right to picket.
Yes.
Everyone has a right to demonstrate. Everyone has a right to come out there and address their issues. So I may be asking this question, that how many lives do we want to see being lost? Because if you talk about, because for the first time the government dismissed the Gen Zs, and after they see it is coming to a revolution, just like you've seen others in other countries. So if the government doesn't listen to this one, then Richard, I can assure you that we are going to see a revolution that might throw away all members of parliament in support of the punitive finance bill, which is going to make this country poorer even than we were before. So it is only time that will tell. I wish our flying president could be given some advisors who could at least lead him to do the right thing.
Right.
Otherwise, this country might sink, and many countries out there might not be interested to be hosting him because you can't be a visitor in your own home. So I think that's a really issue.
So should we be comfortable with that, those arbitrary arrests? As I'd mentioned there, it's something that happens with every movement and revolution.
I think we should not encourage lawlessness. And if this continues, I think it is important for all stakeholders, the LSK, Kenyans of goodwill, to come out, IPO and everyone else, to address these issues. Because if your right is being infringed, it is again your right to air out your view that I am being pinched somewhere and the law is not being followed.
Okay.
But you cannot say that you want to negotiate with me when at the same time you abduct me at night. So what are we talking about?
No negotiations there. George,
Yes.
they're saying, I had a conversation earlier with Mr. Philip, who you met while you were coming in. He said, you get to a point where civil disobedience, like occupying parliament, occupying state house, the government at that point unleashes their full force on you. This is the cost of revolution. This is the cost of a movement, as I'd pointed out with Njoya and Wangari Maathai and the likes of them who came before in that second liberation. Should we be comfortable with that? Benard said we should not encourage lawlessness. But now as I go out to the streets, as a young person going out to the streets today, knowing for sure something bad might happen, how do they deal with that?
Well,
With that truth.
there is something that is happening in this country.
Yeah.
I've talked about number one, goodwill. There is no goodwill between the state and the citizens.
Yeah.
If you recall that there were some memorandums that were done by the professional bodies, various professional bodies, citizens of particular interest, religious group about the finance bill. And 99% went for reject.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to this blatant disregard of the law, there was a Twitter space that was attended even by the government, and government gave a rebuttal upon it, whereby even the spokesman attended it, got to listen about it. Some ministers spoke, and I don't know why they went to arrest these people at night, abducting people. We must allow the law to take its course, because we were having that chat with him before at the lobby before coming in, that something very simple. If the OCS just tells you, please report to the police station, you'll just show up.
Yes.
What is the point of abducting someone at night? Because I woke up even to read the paper at around 3 a.m. And I found that around 9 people
Were abducted at night.
were abducted at 3 a.m., between 2 and 3 a.m. in their houses. So it's not something that we should encourage. And it shows that the government knows that it's not doing the right thing. Since number one, the government has not given concessions on the finance bill. They have not given any concession whatsoever. Then number two, you go to a point of abducting innocent and simple citizens who are not even licensed gun holders. If you look like the abduction that happened somewhere in South B,
Yes.
someone was just walking and
And they grabbed him.
they grabbed him.
That's Shadrach Kiprono.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine you're sleeping in the house at 3 a.m. That's trauma. Trauma that will take you many years to recover.
Yeah.
You've heard Miguna talk about his experience with abduction. It's not a pleasant thing.
Yeah.
And we pledge the government not to continue with the same thing. Because if you recall, even on Saturday, we had another one. And we have had a series of abductions that were making them normal.
Yeah.
Because if you recall, during the elections, we had the thing about the consultants to the president who came to do the thing. Very many people have been kidnapped in broad daylight.
Yes.
And we don't know whether it will happen to us.
Yeah.
So we should not normalize it.
All right. Just to read a few of these headlines, Ruto's options, that's the main story, page 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the Daily Nation. That's why you can get to read that. Ruto's tough options as he seeks win-win outcome on tax bills. Page 6, political parties lobby urges withdrawal of tax proposals. The National Liberation Party leader is shown here addressing journalists and saying that the right to peaceful protests is fundamental to any democracy. The group also wants action taken against police officers who use force to disperse protesters. Kenyans in diaspora are set to stage parallel protests against the finance bill today. Kenyans in Washington, D.C. also protested at the Kenyan embassy on Sunday afternoon. We're expecting to see a few more happening in the US and also in other republics across the world where Kenyans are at. We'll be following up on it. Page 7, the Daily Nation. Kindiki spells out raft of rules to guide protesters. Have your demonstrations, but do so under the rule of law, Kindiki tells protesters. And the protesters are asking, where's the rule of law when we're being abducted and arrested arbitrarily at any point in our homes or walking in the streets? Yesterday, I was subjected to a very scary situation where a friend of mine by the name of Dr. Ian Miako received guests of the state or from the state at his doorstep. 5 unwarranted guests in plain clothes, armed to the teeth with a car outside. We had to make a lot of phone calls to rally a crowd, just come there and scare these people away. So they couldn't do it in the presence of all these people. So I can imagine if it happens to someone without knowledge of people at 3 in the morning. So I wonder where the rule of law is, CS Kindiki, when it comes to addressing citizens and getting them out of their homes and scaring them in their homes for just tweeting. Anyway, away from that, why double taxation bill targeting landowners has angered Kenyans? Mmembia wazee hii ya land. Hii ya land. Benard, some of these proposals here, which are the most painful to you?
I think let me address on okay, why as they on this is sorry, okay, why double taxation bill targeting landowners? So Richie, when you decide to build your rental, the materials are taxed. Number 2, you pay land rates. Number 3, now the government is saying that if your total gross income is 288,000 to about 15 million, now you will be paying a gross tax of 7.5% of your total income. I think this is now greediness, because why tax that person to that extent? Yeah. Because I think there should be limitations towards and even certain guiding policies on how taxes should be collected. So I think this tax on landowners, I think it is a bit punitive, because you pay land rate, and now
you have to pay a levy on your land.
And what makes what if you have rentals and there are no people staying inside? How will the government collect that 7.5% of your income?
And remember, housing levy on top of that. Yeah, so you still have to pay affordable housing levy. Yeah, you still have to pay the affordable housing levy. So I think that should be withdrawn. Yes. All right. You agree completely there. As a landowner near to the urban centers, this is going to affect you heavily.
I agree with him. Okay. And in fact, when you look at that thing whereby landowners near the town center, everyone nowadays is near the town center. Yeah. Because of the devolution. If you do like now the distance from Kirugwe to my home, it's around 10 kilometers.
You're in an urban center.
I'm in an urban center. So there is no villager. There's no villager.
Yes. So these are the tricks President William Ruto is using to raise more money.
So you'll find that there'll be no real landowner. Yes.
That's a very dangerous situation.
Yes.
So hoping you're telling your fathers that is why you're in the streets. Wasidhani tu ni about DST and you getting a taxation.
The finance bill is just the tipping point. Yeah. We could not have taken it any further. Yes.
All right. So that's what you can get on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Let's see the Standard. Tax rebellion, Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. Interior CS has warned youth that action will be taken. I think I've already read that. And then down here we have first batch of Kenyan security officers off to Haiti. Guys, we have sent 400 police officers and we are giving them 20,000 Kenyan shillings each. 20,000 ile JSS teachers. Hiyo ndo unaenda ku risk your life to meet Barbecue and his friends in Haiti. It's a laughing matter when you take a look at it, because the money is a joke. That's why I'm laughing. But this situation is very serious. It's a UN-led peace mission, and President William Ruto has already released 400, so we're expecting 600 more. The promise was 100,000 Kenyan shillings before they leave. Wameambiwa sasa itabidi tumeanza tax cut, tumeanza budget cut hapa sasa. We are sending police officers to Haiti. In Kenya we have insecurity. This is a discussion we've had since the very first time the US proposed to have Kenya send police to Haiti. Should I feel sorry for this police officer? Let me just be honest. Should I feel sorry for these police officers given what they do to the youth, the police brutality? They support the state machinery. It's important that at this point as a Kenyan, this is a fellow citizen. Bado ninafaa nitetee rights za my fellow police officer ambaye ni citizen anadhulumiwa, lakini akinidhulumu kwa street, si sasa nita celebrate nikisema, send them, all of them out there. Benard.
As I add my view on this, the police officers are our brothers, our sisters. They are Kenyans.
Yes.
And I think we have to be realistic. Before maybe I talk about the laws governing security internally and all that, these people are heading to a country that even the Prime Minister himself fears staying in that country. A country which has been taken over by gangsters. It means that the police, it means that the police force in Haiti, and all those security apparatus have been taken down by these gangsters. So who are you? Just a mere police officer with one bullet here in Kenya. So I think I really feel sorry for them.
Yes.
I feel the right people to go for such missions should be the Kenyan military and not the Kenya police. Because I might not be well informed whether they have the correct training to deal with such situations when you go for peacekeeping missions, because those are issues which should be dealt by the Kenya military or military personnel.
Yeah.
So we do not want to wish them bad, but in our minds, we already see that maybe yes, maybe not. They might return in body bags, but we wish them well.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very sad situation that we are going to solve the issues of our neighbors, George, while we have issues ourselves in the Rift Valley region. Banditry haijawahi kuwa solved. Your anti-theft is not working. How is it that we have 400 reserve and 1,000 actually reserve to just send out there?
Well, these are very tricky arithmetic because number one, I don't think it's in accordance with the law.
Okay.
Because the law doesn't speak about police engagements with other countries. It's the military. And I don't know whether the case by a Kuro court has been determined. Then here comes number two. The 20,000 offer, it's very little.
Insulting.
It's insulting. Because even when I read in Ilijuliza, what will you buy with 20,000? Toothpaste.
Before you go, what do you pack in your
toothpaste?
Suitcase yenyewe ni 10,000.
Not even suitcase. You can only buy toothpaste.
Because you can't afford anything else.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Toothpaste. Then if you look from their faces, because I tried to watch even the footage when they were in the plane.
Yeah.
They don't look gallant and valiant. These soldiers, they don't look so.
Even in the image here and the standard.
From the image, especially from the standard.
Yeah.
They don't look gallant and valiant. So it's something that we should check up upon, especially the welfare of the police. And when we don't know what the NPS is doing, because you see, NPS should have given the right and the correct guidelines, especially in regard to the welfare. The committees on security in the Senate and in the National Assembly should have done something to ensure that we send a committed workforce. Yes.
All right. Guys, it's 9:55 in the morning. I wish all the police officers well. Let's show something. Let's show that editorial cartoon on the screen. And then I get to see, this was from the Daily Nation. Guys, what is your interpretation of that? This right here. Who do they offer a handshake? That is the dilemma President Ruto finds himself in trying to strike a conversation with the young Kenyans. Who do I offer a handshake? Hakuna mtu, hakuna leader. Is it Osama Otero? Do I shake Boniface Mwangi? Do I shake Richard Okenye at KUTV Kenya? Twitter space. Kingia pale ni kufukuza, hata hakuna masaa ya handshake. Yeah. So that's editorial cartoon. Interpret it as you will. But just for one last thing that I would like you gentlemen to handle is that the court has ruled the swearing in of the people's president as illegal. I saw that somewhere here. And I'd like to begin with Benard to let me in on what he thinks about that. That was the standard page 10. Page 10. Yes. Page 10. It says court rules Raila's swearing in as people's president was illegal. It was done by Miguna. Judge rules swearing in conducted on January 30th illegal and unconstitutional. He said that then the government was entitled to switch off TV signals in public interest. But if this is unconstitutional and no one is answering for it, at what point do we expect anyone to follow the rule of law? Benard.
Okay. This is a very
general thoughts.
This is a very interesting story here. We understand what happened to millions of Kenyans who showed up for swearing in of Baba as the people's president then. And we saw Miguna being abducted, actually being sent on exile from his motherland to Canada, and it was a bitter situation. The same court also ruled that Miguna was unfairly exiled, and again, the same law, nothing happened.
Nothing happened, yes.
So my general opinion on this one, I think I do not know what informs justice when and how, but again, the rule of law has to be followed by everyone. It doesn't matter who is who. And again, some of these rulings, they just, maybe it is based on the public interest or what, because if we are seeing a ruling today that Baba was legally sworn in, then why should they not arrest Baba tomorrow?
Exactly, my question.
If they don't arrest Baba tomorrow, then why
These pronouncements are...
why abduct young people, Gen Zs, demonstrating out there?
When someone else swore themselves in as president. George, as we wrap it, your general reactions to that?
Well, to this...
Is the rule of law only applicable to the poor, clearly, and the vulnerable? Justice is only for the rich people, if you can afford it.
You've said it.
Yeah.
You've said it.
All right.
You've said it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. As we wrap it, it's 9:58 in the morning. I have a comment here from Melody Wanjiru. We must protest for our sake of our future generation. Hashtag Zakayo Shuka. Hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024. Gentlemen, just your last word on the state of the nation. And for protesters who are going out there, waambieni kitu. Na pia mwambie serikali kitu. George, I think I'll begin with you.
Well, mine will be in two aspects. Number one aspect, there is this poem by Max Amann, Desiderator, the last line, whereby it says that despite the drudgery and the broken dreams and the sham of the world, it's a brilliant world. So everyone should strive to be happy. So devoid of everything, let everyone strive to be happy.
Okay.
And the other one is that this one will sound a bit funny.
Weka to check.
Acha kila mtu atoke
We need
nje.
some humor.
Acha kila mtu atoke nje. You see, there is a verse in the Bible that says, he who saves his life for my sake will. He who saves his life for my sake
will see the kingdom
will
of
lose.
Will lose?
Will lose it. And he who loses his life
for my sake will
have it. Yep. Okay. So it has come to an epoch moment whereby we must send a strong message to the governance.
Yeah.
To the governance team that we should be well governed.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
Bernard, it's 10 in the morning, so you'll have like 10 seconds.
Okay. I think that is very well, but allow me to maybe in a few seconds talk about this. Number one, the interior CS for security says where your right begins or ends is where somebody else's right maybe starts. But again, the CS should also tell us whether the police officers are also supposed to respect our rights. Where our rights begins, law should it should be on both sides. The police officers should abide by the rule of law as the protesters, because what we see is peaceful and armed, and so that should be addressed that way. Okay. And the other thing which I want to talk about quickly, number one, if we are not careful, this country might find itself in a deep hole, just as it is being put by the Right Honorable TJ MP for Dagoretti, for Oraka.
Yes. That
we have a government whereby, for example, the finance bill here, why sneak 6 shillings tax on fuel levy? And then why sneak it?
Yes.
These many proposals which have been dropped from the finance bill, did the government look at it keenly before presenting it to the public? And like who is advising this country?
All right.
So I think the only way for Kenya is for people to rise up. Let us fight for our rights.
Okay.
And that is the only way we are going to communicate sense to our leaders.
All right.
Otherwise, we might wake up one day and find this country maybe has been sold
to someone else.
So I think it is important that we just wake up and we move forward. Otherwise, to the demonstrators who have lost their lives, I feel sorry for them. Let their souls rest in peace.
Yeah.
I also say reject Finance Bill 2024 because it is punitive and it is going to burden the lives of Kenyans. It is going to make us poorer, than how we are today. Otherwise, thanks, Richie.
Thank you too.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Right. Thank you too. Thank you, George. Thank you, Benard. And thank you to everyone who tuned in to the show. We've gone way past time, but we're grateful that you created the morning for us here. From us to you, stay safe out there if you're going out to protest. Keep yourself safe. Make sure that people know where you are at every time. Share your live locations, record everything, and you will stay safe. I just want to finish this show by saying continue following the rest of KUTV broadcasting at KUTV Kenya at Richard_Okenya. I'll see you out there and also on the social platforms. To leave you with Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya, sovereignty of the people. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. The people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representative. And by so I say, reject the finance bill of 2024. I'll see you around.